Hello friends, this is Ruplina Banerjee, Vice Principal, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Shratavashike Mahavidyalaya Helencha, and today we are going to discuss the topic Going Beyond Eurocentrism. What is Eurocentrism? Eurocentrism as a concept first came into existence in approximately 1963 during the decolonization period of the latter 1900s. The word was developed to describe the outlook of the world from a strictly European perspective and with European experiences in mind. The word implies an exclusion of other non European societies. With Eurocentrism, individuals tend to see the world from a Western or specifically European mindset. Going beyond Eurocentrism. As a work of adversary scholarship, Beyond Eurocentrism critiques the universalization of European norms, the idea that any race, in Amy César's words, holds a monopoly on beauty, intelligence, and strength. The critique of Eurocentrism is addressed not to Europeans as individuals, but rather to dominant Europe's historically oppressive relation to its internal and external others. It is in no way being suggested that non European people are somehow better than Europeans, or that the third world and minoritarian cultures are inherently superior. The West is a name for a subject which gathers itself in discourse, but is also an object constituted discursively. It is evidently a name always associating itself with those regions, communities, and people that appear politically or economically superior to other regions, communities, and people. The phenomena of political modernity, namely the rule by modern institutions of the state, bureaucracy, and capitalist enterprise, is impossible to think of anywhere in the world without invoking certain categories and concepts, the genealogies of which go deep into the intellectual and even theological traditions of Europe. Concepts such as citizenship, the state, the civil society, public sphere, human rights, equality before law, the individual, democracy, popular sovereignty, social justice, and so on, bear the burden of European thought and history. One simply cannot think of political modernity without these and other related concepts that found a climactic form in the discourse of European Enlightenment and the 19th century. These concepts entail an unavoidable and, in a sense, indispensable universal and secular vision of humans. The European colonizers of the 19th century preached both aspects of this enlightenment humanism for the colonized, and at the same time, denial of the same in practice. But the vision has been powerful in its effects. It has historically provided a strong foundation on which to erect both in European and outside critiques of socially unjust practices. Power shifts and going beyond Eurocentrism. America is in decline, and Europe is in a deep political and economic malaise. China is rising, and emerging regional economic powers are challenging the West. The beginning of Europe's formation challenges us to think of Europe and its relation to today's emerging economies in both economic and geopolitical cyclical terms. There are moments in international politics when shifts in power seem particularly acute. One occurred in 1990 with the sudden demise of the Soviet Union. Another may now be upon us, this time ushered in by American overextension and the rise of the West, which together have shifted the global balance of influence. The emerging powers have also increasingly been using their influence to challenge the legitimacy of the post Second World War order, calling instead for more pluralist or multipolar conceptions. China, for instance, has long been a sovereignty hawk, generally opposing the notion that interventions for humanitarian purposes are legitimate. Its model of authoritarian capitalism has also increasingly become an ideological expert, challenging the United States liberal model. The United States has often acted as a stabilizer of the balance of power in the regions of economic strategic importance. Just as the United Kingdom has historically done on the European continent, the United States has worked to make sure that no single state could come to dominate its region. Some observers have forecast a multipolar world with regional heavyweights like Russia, China, India, Brazil, or Turkey grouping their smaller neighbors and building power blocks that potentially create a global equilibrium between themselves. To sum up, although Eurocentrism has been common through the ages, it has not been constant, nor it has affected the way Europeans have viewed all non European societies equally. Moreover, Europeans have not always been in full agreement with each other over merits or failings of particular non European societies. In some writers and periods, there is a tendency to romanticize Asia and Africa. In general, Eurocentrism has been more pronounced during the periods of greatest European assertiveness or self confidence, the most outstanding example being the age of imperialism and colonialism in the 19th and 20th centuries. Thank you. Please subscribe, like, share the channel Takshashila on YouTube.